Hello and welcome to Forward TV, a regular guide to business in Hull. Now each episode we're going to be taking a look at what's happening in and around Hull, keeping an eye on events and developments within the city and offering views and opinions on the present and the future of where we do business. Now this episode is a food special. The culinary side of the city has received a great deal of attention over recent months, both from the media and the food industry alike. So we're going to be looking at what draws people here in the first place and then what they expect when they arrive. For example, here's what top TV food critic Jay Rayner had to say about our region on a recent visit to Hull.
It's quite interesting with this city and the surrounding area that I've yet to have a bad meal. Now, that may mean that I've chosen rather well. I've reviewed Artisan in Hessel, reviewed White's in Beverley. I can't say yet what my opinion of the Pipe and Glass where I went last night is going to be, but let's just say it's not a bad restaurant by any stretch of the imagination. And that's really encouraging, because the truth is that there used to be whole swathes of the country where you couldn't get a good meal, and clearly Hull and the area around it is not one of those. If you come to a place like Hull, which historically has had a bit of a bad rap for some various reasons, and then you discover there's a whole bunch of good restaurants here, you think, well, this is a city I ought to see. And it's certainly how I respond to places, probably because I'm a greedy man and too obsessed with my own dinner.
One of the highest profile success stories is the Pipe and Glass restaurant in the lovely village of South Dalton. As well as winning the top chef prize at the recent Northern Hospitality Awards, it also received its first Michelin star. We caught up with chef patron James Mackenzie to ask him why he chose this region to set up his restaurant.
Myself and Kate, my wife, bought the Pipe and Glass in March 2006. We chose to come round here. We looked at a lot of different places, but this area just was quite attractive to us for the kind of setup that we wanted. Started off with just myself and another couple of guys in the kitchen, and Kate and a couple of people out front. Set out a stall to cook nice food, locally sourced, seasonal food, serve Yorkshire hospitality to people, and within a very short space of time we ended up being very busy, and 3.5 years down the line we now employ about 35 people, which is a busy operation. The Pipe and Glass, we do anywhere between 750 and 1,000 covers a week, make everything fresh in-house. And it's just a great place to be, live and eat, sleep and breathe really. The fantastic produce that's around here and the variety and quality of it as well, with all the different producers bringing to the farmers markets, which is great farmers markets in the East Riding quite a lot. You know, it's popular, people are becoming more aware of locally sourced things, going to the farmers market, expect to see stuff like that on the restaurant menus throughout East Yorkshire as well. So I think more and more restaurants and eateries are actually picking up on that, and it's actually becoming easier to source that produce as well.
Another great advocate of the region's cuisine is international business guru David Hall. Now in his time, David's advised everyone from Richard Branson to ICI. He lives near Hull and is keen to question common perceptions of the city.
My experience of restaurants in this part of the world has been quite the opposite in terms of when people say, well, where do you eat? Well, I lived in Sheffield and I lived in South Yorkshire. There was nowhere, it was barren. There's at least half a dozen, probably 10 really good restaurants around here. There's the one, the 2 or 3 we go to, there's the place Artisan. It's fantastic. I mean, that's as good, I go to London quite a bit, that's as good as anything you get in London, seriously. But there's 3 or 4 others, there's the Star at Sancton, there's a Pipe and Glass, just to name 3 or 4, and these are top restaurants.
Well, all this talk of food, and fortunately it's now my lunchtime, so we've come along to the Westwood restaurant in Beverley. I'm delighted that Malcolm Jocelyn has joined me for lunch as well. Malcolm is the Communications and External Affairs Manager at BP at the Salt End site, and also sits on the board of the Hull and Humber Chamber of Commerce. Malcolm, let's start by talking about food. How important do you think it is to have restaurants like this for the business community in and around Hull?
Oh, I think it's very important. If you think that since the late 1990s, we've had something like £800 million worth of investment into the Salt End site, and that's both BP and other operators, a great many of those investments involved meals during the lunch times or in the evenings between BP and other partners. And it's very important to, I think, showcase the area as somewhere where you can have a very good quality of life and all the different sort of supporting things that businesses like. And there are a great many restaurants, a great number of choices in the area. Sort of large restaurants. We had about 30 of our leadership team here a couple of weeks ago, and we took them to the Custom House in Hull, and they had a fantastic evening. But we've also got some very intimate restaurants as well. So yes, the eating side of things is very important in the business life, I think.
Okay, so that's the sort of food business talked about, if you like. Let's move on to other aspects of business and industry in the city. How do you see the whole area of investment expanding in Hull?
This area offers a great quality of life, and I've lived here for 27 years, and the quality of life for a business person, somebody coming into the area, is great. But there are also a number of opportunities for redevelopment, and the city has already come a long way in the last 10 years. We've seen people who visit the site from our head offices absolutely astonished at how much has changed. And these days, when you come into the city, you come into the redeveloped railway station, and you're seeing St Stephen's. It now gives a great impact on the city, and that redevelopment, that renaissance, is expanding right across the area, which is fantastic.
And does that coincide with the sort of cultural aspect of the city as well? I mean, we know, unfortunately, the city lost out in becoming one of the finalists for the European City of Culture. What part do museums and art galleries have to play in getting people into the city?
Oh, I think they're very important, and the museum's offer, for example, is fantastic. The Deep is a wonderful experience. My boys love going there, but there are many other museums that are great places to go for a day to explore. But there's also many other things. The music scene in the area is superb, both for orchestral music. There's some great chamber music that takes place at the university. So there's a whole range of cultural experiences in the area. What a shame we missed out on the cultural badge. That would have been entirely appropriate, I think.
It's long been thought of Hull as a city at the end of a motorway, and unless you're getting on a ferry, there's no reason to come here. How do you change the mindset of business to actually want to invest because they believe that isn't the case?
You can turn that around the other way. People say that we're at the end of the line, but we're at the gateway into Europe. And for those people coming into the UK from Europe, it's actually a great place to stop and have a look around. And you could very profitably spend a number of days exploring this area before moving on. So it's the beginning of the gateway into Europe. We're really centrally placed for the rest of the UK as well. But as I say, before moving on, really explore what's around here. There are many things to see and do.
Are you happy with the level of investment in the city and the speed of change that is happening as a result of that investment?
Well, I think the recession has obviously slowed things. That's a crying shame for me, because there was such momentum. There are so many projects that are still in the pipeline, but really would have been close to fruition by now. And those are going to make a big difference as well. A lot more redevelopment in the city and the surrounding areas. But even with what we've got already, it's a great place to come and visit.
Well, my thanks to Malcolm for joining me for lunch, and to you for watching. There'll be another of these programmes on the site very soon. I hope you can join me then.